Alright, guys. So, we were supposed to read the three next plays of Euripides. So, Alcestis, then we got Heraclidae, and I think we ended off with the Suppliants.
Yes.
Which is not, it's different from Suppliant Maidens. So, I need you guys to tell me what's your favorite story.
I'm
out
trying
of
to
the three.
I'm trying to think, because they're actually they're all pretty different. I think, like because Alcestis isn't I would say it's the opposite of a tragedy. It's
yeah.
like an anti-tragedy.
I don't know. Towards the ending, the whole time, I thought initially when Hercules brought that girl, that it was just like a different girl that just looked a lot like Alcestis, and he would end up not only grieving but also breaking her oath, and that was like the ultimate tragedy. But then at the end, he's like, "Oh no, it's her."
It's
But
actually
she's
her.
mute. But the whole time I'm thinking, is it her or is he just lying? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
get
I
what
guess
you-
I guess there's a level of trust. It's like an essentialist story, like a clearly like a feel good type of story. I guess, right? Not a lot of. It's not like Ex Machina where you have to think, oh, what's the meaning? Did this actually happen, or is it like a twist ending? Yeah. So I guess Euripides likes to end things on like a bow tie type of thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It is a very 50-50. I think it clearly is her. And
I think it's her.
because Hercules and the king, they're pretty close friends.
Admetus.
Almeida, yes. They're close enough that I don't think Heracles, he doesn't have like any reason to really lie to him, right?
I think another reason is like he kind of said he would do it, like when he was having his monologue. So like that kind of gives more credence.
Yeah.
Plus, he has gone to the underworld before, or like that's one of his labors. So
Any messages? I guess being good to people will always come back and reward you in the end.
Yeah.
I guess because that's one way. Because Admetus is known for his hospitality, which not only gets him out of death because he becomes friends with Apollo, who helps him cheat death, but also becomes friends with Hercules and gives him hospitality, despite the fact that he's feeling really shitty during the play, and that allowed Hercules to then go above and beyond and get Alcestis for him.
I think it could also be the case that like because like I guess it's like don't take your loved ones for granted. I guess because Admetus did kind of take Alcestis for granted a bit. Then like he was like very sad. He's like damn. He's like damn. I really shouldn't have done this, you know. But
Yeah. But again, Alcestis, she wanted him to live because she in her mind thought that, oh my god, if I die, my kids could get like screwed. You know, they could get like pushed aside, especially if Admetus then ends up with like if it's just me and my kids, they might not get Admetus's like inheritance, his kingdom and stuff. So yeah, and then she also makes him swear to not have any other women. What was the other thing? Not to have any other women, and
not to marry again.
yeah, exactly. Like that's pretty much what it turned to. So you could interpret the play as be kind to people, and it'll eventually come full circle to you. You could also interpret it because there was a lot of like free will type of stuff, especially in the conversations with his dad. Because he was like, listen, you're old, you lived your life. Why couldn't you just give it? You're gonna die anyway soon. Why can't you give yours so that I could live and I could have had Alcestis by my side? And he's like, no, that's not my prerogative. Why do I need to give my life to yours? I birthed you so that you could have your life, and I had my life, and
I think like that's a very interesting question of like what we owe to each other and what we owe to family members.
Paul, you hit the nail on the head. What do we owe to each other?
Like, especially family members, because like if there's one group of people like who's most likely to do it, it would be family members.
And the fact that his parents didn't, and that ate at his heart, especially.
But like it's like sure, like you kind of feel bad about it, but like can you blame them? To be fair, like
because again, the argument is, oh, they lived their lives, they had a kid, Admetus, right? Admetus was healthy, no problems. He inherited the kingdom. They're old, no health problems. you know, and they're old, right? They're getting towards the end.
Yeah.
So why not sacrifice themselves so that Admetus could have that nice wife and that nice family and no issues, right?
That's fair.
Like the
But
utilitarian approach.
Do you guys agree that with what Alcestis is saying, that it should be the parents who
No.
come and sacrifice? Because personally, I don't see it that way.
I don't know.
it's
Admetus
very
could have
weird.
easily said, "Just kill me," right? He could have offered himself up, but he was constantly looking. And his dad made a good point. You are constantly looking for somebody else to take your place,
Yeah.
right? But then again, is it really Admetus' fault that Death is going after him? It seems like Death is going after him because of like random chance, like a coin flip. He just wants to go after Admetus, right? Death doesn't give a specific reason as to why he's going after him.
He just wants him, I guess.
Right, which is kind of the personification of death. Death goes after everyone. It doesn't have a purpose. It could take anybody, good, bad, tall, small, fat, skinny, doesn't
It
matter.
takes everyone, you know.
Yeah.
That's true, but I think there was a specific reason. I think it was because Apollo actually saved Alcestis when he was supposed to die. And then
Yes, but
Death
he was
said-
but he was supposed to die. Like, why did Death want to take him in the first place for Apollo to step in?
I think it was like the Fate Sisters or whatever the fuck they're called. Like
Yes.
they're like they preordained he would die and he didn't.
Yeah, Apollo got them drunk. Apollo got the Fates drunk,
Mhm.
so as to not have that happen. Because he was so hospitable to Apollo, right? Because Apollo got kicked out of Olympus for some doofusness.
Look, I found this play very interesting because this is like kind of the complete opposite of every other play we've read. You know, like every other play, there's always an aspect of fate, and here, while it's the case, in the end, their fate does get the like. It's technically
Admetus' actions gets him a happy ending. His hospitality, which was I think we can agree is controlled by his own free will.
well, it's technically the case that like someone did die, someone did take his place. They just came back to life, and I'm like, is that fate or is it like just finding a way to reverse Uno card fate? You know?
Yeah. It's like defying fate.
It's like
It's a weird
technically defining it, but not really. Like,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
because like literally, Admetus is like literally, he would be like prime Greek. He's literally prime Greek tragedy material. He literally tries to not die. He makes his wife take the fall, but he doesn't. And then like he's literally like talking shit to his parents.
Yeah.
And yet everything turns out well.
Turns out
like,
well.
like
Yes, because I guess Euripides, I think at the end of the day, he doesn't want to go. He wants things to maybe end in a happy ending, and also I think in his head, if a character's this generous and hospitable, is it a good moral lesson to leave with my audience if I have him go through the Oedipus ending?
I see what you're saying, but why would he target a good ending in a tragedy? Personally, the way I see it,
I
it
guess
feels like he's trying to
tragedy doesn't necessarily have to end in a tragedy. It could just mean that a tragedy is taking place in the play. In the play, everyone is mostly serious.
Well, that could be his interpretation of tragedy. Because
Exactly.
usually a tragedy would be, oh, this is a bad ending. Where a comedy would be, oh, this is a good ending. But I wonder if it's just to show off how good Hercules is.
But a comedy could end badly. I mean, Monty Python, the Holy Grail, you could argue ended. You guys see it?
yeah, no, I know what
Yeah,
I know.
Okay,
what that
the ending is whatever. It's unorthodox.
Unorthodox.
is. Don't look up is kind of a comedy, and then like it just ended.
Yeah, and
depressing.
it doesn't end in like a happy way per se. I think a comedy is when you sort of poke fun at things and you're not serious about the subject matter.
Yeah, so like a
that's
satire.
Exactly.
Oh,
Satire.
Death of Stalin, you know, that's like a perfect like comedy, but like it's very sad like at some points, you know.
Exactly, because it's also depicting like a
But, like,
historical
again-
event.
But like again, when everyone thinks of tragedy, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised even the Greeks thought this way. It usually ends off worse than it started by a long shot, and like this is like at worst slightly below. But if anything, it's like a bit. If anything, everything ends better, you know. Like it's like if we say this is a tragedy, then what is the Odyssey also a tragedy? Like I don't know. I don't be fair. I don't think it's fair to put this in the same vein as Medea or Agamemnon or something like this. Like again, I think this is literally. I would poke this as like a reverse tragedy because like it takes the beats of a tragedy, like but inverses it. You know, rather like in a tragedy, everything's kind of fine, maybe like a bit murky at the start,
Yeah.
and then it starts getting worse. Here, it's really bad at the start.
But let's not forget, it says the plays of Euripides, not the tragedies of Euripides.
Okay, so he's a tragedy writer, but he does.
He does non-tragedy
Oh,
Okay,
no,
okay, that's fair.
except
But if,
from- I'm
if we're
pretty sure-
considering it a tragedy,
It says the plays of Euripides, but I'm pretty sure the only one that's not a tragedy is the Cyclops.
Okay.
So like, I think this has to be like maybe if anything a deconstruction of a tragedy by this point, because like it takes all the norms of
This could be the origin or the beginning of the Western, in the Western canon, the origin of like a happy ending. Perhaps.
Well, like no, I can't even say that because like in the Odyssey that's a happy ending, like,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and to some extent you could even say you could even say in Eumenides like there was a happy ending.
No, but it's a YouTube video.
It is.
You kidding?
but yeah, but overall the story is a tragedy, right? Like the main components. It's only the ending that's like, okay, well,
But
he comes back to life, or she comes back to life. So it's a.
But like the ending is for me the most important part of a
Yeah.
story.
But I wonder if it's something to do with him praising Hercules in some way. Because just like, oh, you know, this is all sad, this whole story's gonna end in a tragedy, but then here comes Hercules to save the day. So I wonder if he's maybe promoting or praising him. Like, okay, this is how
Which
good
makes
of a man
sense.
he is.
Which makes sense because back then the
Back then,
ancient
yeah.
Greeks were praising heroes like Achilles,
But like,
Hercules.
but like
Yeah.
Heracles wasn't just a hero; he is a god.
God, yeah.
Demigod.
Like no, god. Like he is a god.
Well, when he dies, yeah, he
Yeah.
becomes a god.
He becomes
he
a god.
lives on forever.
Like maybe this is like someone like a demigod at that point in the story. Well, that's like I don't know, talking good about Jesus when he was in his first life. You know, like
I understand.
like technically he is still pretty much a god, like or future god by that point.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in either way, god or hero or human hero, he's venerated highly
yes.
in the society. So, I mean, yeah, Alcestis was pretty good character. I mean, her just warning him at the end, like, listen, I took this huge bullet for you, pretty much.
Like don't fuck me over.
So don't screw me and don't screw my kids over.
Yeah.
Don't have like the Cinderella story where it's like an evil stepmother is like trying
Yo,
to.
oh
trying to
yeah,
get the
true.
kids.
She literally talked up like she had like a few sentences about stepmothers, you know. Like,
Yeah, like don't have like a stepmother
don't have
because
a
they get jealous. They'll get jealous,
Like-
and they'll put my kids under the rug.
But, like,
and
here's the thing. I think like maybe nowadays that isn't true. Back then, like you could probably make a decent argument. Like that's probably like you could probably find.
it still happens even in modern times. Like in some families, right? Like especially if it's like a rich family, like the rich dad, let's say he divorces his first wife or his first wife dies or they split, whatever, and then he gets with like a hotter like foreign woman, and like the kids just aren't feeling her, and at the same time like the woman is like she ends up having kids with him, and she's trying to prop up her kids.
Well, I also like. Can you say like it's like a very interesting way of like how men have power or something?
Yes.
Because like it shows that like it's like women like you can say like they have because like it is kind of the rational thing to do if your whole priority is to secure your bloodline. Like fuck the other person's kids. You want to prioritize your own.
Your kids, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody goes up against the man who's like clearly almost in a way pitting them against each other, right? It's they're all just trying to carve as much space underneath a king as they can. That's basically it. Because obviously back then, and for so much of Western society, human history, women didn't have that opportunity to become leaders themselves.
And
or
like
property owners
even though
or
like
whatever.
it low key kind of sucks how she says it, it is the rational thing for her to do. Like
to say, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, but would you blame Admetus? Like, because if you're about to die, are you really gonna take the bullet, or are you gonna go to like an old person and be like, you lived your life, can you take one for me? Like,
Well, like here's the thing, like Alcestis' actions are like without a doubt extremely selfish, but like can we say
rational.
like how many of us would actually do anything differently is the real question. Because like no, like I feel like you could probably get like 50% of people or something, or at least like a non insignificant amount of people to like say, you know what, I probably would kind of do the same thing. Because like again, a lot of his words are just emotional reactions. You know, it's like he tells us that, hey, why couldn't you just like is like he's like ignoring the fact that like people have the right to like live
their own life.
to live their own life, you know.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to sacrifice our own life for someone else's happiness, you know.
Yeah.
And again, if that's true, then that opens up more. I guess you could say more like conservative arguments, perhaps. Like everyone has the right to their own free will. Nobody owes you anything.
Well, like kinda, but like it's also the case that like a lot of like it's very often like conservative roots. It's always about the family structure, you know. But like that those two values are like in conflict here, you know.
Yeah.
Like what do you prioritize more, like yourself or your family? And I'm like again, this is like it's like a very it's not straightforward thing to do, because like
Yeah, I mean, there are good and bad reasons to either agree. There are good reasons to either agree or disagree with Admetus. You can prop up arguments on both sides, like, oh, he shouldn't ask for other people to die, but at the same time, the rational thing, would anybody else do that? No. Nobody would. Very few people would like want to kill themselves. You know what I mean? Like take that chance at death. But then you have Alcestis, who just does it, and the fact that she I think Euripides was trying to make her like the embodiment of like what a female should be. Like she takes the fall for her man, which is what a wife should be. Like everyone is saying, oh my God, your wife is amazing. This is an amazing wife. I can't believe you're losing her. For her to sacrifice you like that, she's like a diamond in the rough. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you mean. It definitely shows how selfless she is. Like she's willing to sacrifice her own life to help the others. But realistically, like, because I'm thinking through it, was there a real reason? Admetus, he didn't do it. Because I'm wondering, like, he's the king, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically, if he were to die, who would be the next up?
His son that he had with
Like,
Alcestis, but they're kids, right? So
Mhm.
Alcestis is worried that that her son isn't gonna get it. Either maybe a distant relative of Admetus's is gonna come in, or
Like, again,
or,
this is
or
like-
a stranger will come in and compete for the throne,
again,
right?
we're talking about
That's
ancient times. Even in the Middle Ages, you probably still couldn't get away with like a child king, you know. Like if you have a child king, chances are like there's pretty good chances he's either gonna be taken advantage of, or like what's it like Richard II who killed his fucking kid, who killed his fucking nephews, you know.
Richard III.
Richard III like killed his nephews and just became king.
Yeah.
Like, and like this was ancient Greece, you know. It's like if you could just do it, you know. Like how many times have we seen in ancient plays where like a fucking random ass guy he just randomly becomes king, you know? Like oh,
Creon.
and like oh okay, I'm king now.
Yeah.
Like
The reason I bring that up is because it feels weird that he doesn't own up. Because obviously, as we said, that.
Dylan, you're on the frame.
Because I know we obviously discussed that, okay, like, in his position, would we do anything different? Most likely not. But, as the king, why wouldn't he step up and say, okay, you know what? I'll take it, and then whatever happens, happens. My idea is that maybe he's worried. Like, oh, is someone else going to take the throne, and then...
for me, my interpretation is he's kind of a bit of a coward. I mean,
Yeah.
Selfish, definitely.
he's very
selfish.
selfish.
But at the same time, he's very hospitable. He's very hospitable to people.
Well, it's
Now-
really Hercules, and he just he's like, oh, don't worry, it's just I'm grieving over some stranger, right? Like he wants to bring him in, but he just hides his emotions. Which,
Yeah.
whether you argue it's good or bad,
I guess that's just like a very interesting very interesting contrast because like this is a Admetus is a complex character, you know, like he's like I think he's a very selfish character, but he does selfless things a lot, you know.
But then you can make the argument, because who is he generous to? He's generous to Apollo and Hercules, right? That's the only people that he's generous to that we can see.
But did he know it was Apollo though, or did he just think it was or was he disguised? I don't know. I think it was disguised.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100% sure. Like it should be in the opening paragraphs.
Oh, then I came to this land, this Apollo. Then I came to this land and kept a stranger's flocks. So I think he was disguised as a stranger.
Mm.
Right? Because he says, and kept a stranger's flocks.
Yeah, because like I feel like he would probably
That means he was disguised as a stranger.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So like
Okay.
So like even towards high and low, like he was like
Because for a second I was gonna think, he's only generous to really powerful and well-known people.
yeah.
No shit, somebody would be generous to a really powerful and well-known person. They would obviously expect something in return.
Yeah.
well, you know, like he even does it towards like supposed strangers, you know. So like again, like I just have to, maybe he's just like a person, I guess. Like
A normal person
He's a-
with like that has that.
he's-
That's yeah.
like again, like that's the only conclusion I can come to. He does a lot of rational things, a lot of things that a normal person would do, even though they're not great, you know. Like sure, we want someone to take our fall if we know we're about to die, and yeah, sure, we're probably like occasionally generous towards people, or like really generous towards people, but you don't want to die.
Exactly.
True.
So like maybe it's like, hey, the fear of death literally overrides all your other instincts, you know.
Yeah, the fear of death, especially could like even break up like family members, like with him and his dad, about that whole conversation, right? Because up to that point, they were decent parents, and then that whole death thing came around, and they refused to give their lives for Admetus, and then Admetus suddenly is like, "Oh, my parents are terrible. They won't even help me out. You know that now my wife has to die." Like, yeah.
But like it's another thing, like is it like very interesting things, like if you refuse to live up to like what you're owed or to your consequences, other people will get hurt, you know, including yourself.
Yeah, you could say that. And also, being kind to people, without expecting something in return, ends up getting you something in return, eventually. So maybe it's good to be generous to people.
Maybe it's also nice to open up to people, right? Because he tells Heracles, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm just grieving with some stranger," and then when Heracles Heracles, he finds out, oh, he's grieving over his wife who died. He comes and helps him. So maybe tell people, especially
the truth.
close friends, the truth, and they'll help you out. Whether it's through emotional help or
Finding your wife. Finding your wife.
Yeah.
Finding your wife.
Going
Just
hell
like
and
wife.
back to help you get a wife.
Well,
Yeah.
I do slightly kind of find it a bit funny how at the end he's like he comes with Heracles comes with Alcestis. He's like, "Hey, I found you a girl." He's like, "No, I'm good, dude."
Oh yeah, that whole he kept pressing. I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be like, oh my god, this is the tragedy. He's
Yeah,
finally gonna accept this new woman.
No, I
which
thought
goes against what she said. And
No. For me, I thought the tragedy would be that he would have a chance to get his wife back, and he would fail. And like due to like keeping his wife's words too much, he would fail. I thought that would be the tragedy.
Yeah. But then she says also she's gonna be mute for like a few days, like 3 days or something like that. We would have go.
I think so. I know he brought up her being mute. I guess it's because.
"'Tis not lawful yet for you to hear her speak, before she be purified from the gods below, and the third day become." Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So third day, 3 days she wouldn't talk.
I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to pay the actress another 25 Greek shekels, you know, like
Drachmas.
drachma.
Drachma.
He didn't want to pay her a few more drachma, so he just ended the play.
I think Hercules, he's like, no, you know what? We'll leave the voice down there for a few days. Comes in Amazon shipping. I'm not gonna pay Prime for that. Just wait for.
I don't want to hear wounds nagging right now. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add?
I guess like like, is this like the first time like someone actually just managed to get out of the underworld in like a play?
Technically Odysseus was in the underworld.
But like a dead person.
A dead.
Oh, don't know.
Oh, brought back in the day. Good point.
Because is this like the first time resurrection's been a thing?
I think to this point, yes. Up to this point, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've read anything where someone like.
The closest
Who's
thing
dead
is
who comes back
Odysseus
to life.
visiting.
But like
Yes.
he visits, he's not dead.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
Alright, I guess it's time for Heraclidae.
Heraclidae.
Heraclidae. Heraclidae. Heraclidae.
Are you guys filming?
Yes.
So if you guys want water,
No, no, we're good. You don't want water, though?
No, I'm alright. Thank you.
sorry. I went to see grandma.
Say yeah.
Yeah, I went.
So it's called Heraclidae, but interesting enough, Heracles isn't
Isn't
in
in
this.
it.
It's just his kids.
This kid.
Now this, I think, was my favorite story out of the three. I gotta say. Now, what do you guys think of this? First of all, another instance of sacrifice, of a woman sacrificing herself, right?
Yeah.
Her Heracles' daughter sacrificing herself for her brothers.
Yep.
Euripides is really into women sacrificing themselves for men. It seems.
I don't know, I don't know, like, is that like intrinsically part of like Athenian culture by that point? Because like even Theseus kind of did it.
In what sense?
Like, you know, like he just left Ariadne on a rock because Dionysus told him to or something. Like no, like that's like part of Greek mythology.
Oh, I
Mythology.
didn't know that.
Like, you know, like he rescues he goes to the labyrinth, he kills him and after
Minotaur.
Yeah.
then he comes back with Ariadne and leaves her on a rock, you know.
No, I didn't know.
No, I didn't know that.
I thought he went straight back to Athens. His father saw like the wrong sails, and he
And he fell
plunged
off.
to his death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
no.
why they named the ocean after. that
No,
ocean
no,
after.
there's like a little. She just left her on a tiny rock. We don't know. Like, I was like what? Just like a
He
tidbit.
pulled the Philoctetes.
Yeah, the tidbit. I don't know. Is this like because like is that just part of like ancient Greek culture or something? Like sacrificing women or something? Because like you even see that in like in the Minotaur, like they sacrifice women. Like that's a commonplace by this point.
It is okay.
Like I feel like it is.
I mean, we've seen it a few times, so it is possible.
Like at least in ancient myths, that's like not outlandish, I guess.
I mean, what'd you guys think of it?
Okay, I just need a refresher. 'Cause-
Exactly, me too. I'm trying
So
to think.
basically, right?
Oh yeah, okay, no.
His kids get chased. Eurystheus, who becomes king of Argos,
Mhm.
chases the kids all the way to Athens.
Athens, yeah.
The king at the time, Demophon,
Oh,
is
yes.
right. They come as like suppliants,
Suppliants,
right?
yes.
And Eurystheus is, I think it was the messenger, right?
Yeah.
His messenger like tries to forcibly take him. Iolaus, who's the old man
The old man,
that we used to fight with Heracles.
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, don't do this, no." And then Demophon comes with his brother, and Iolaus is like, "They are taking them, they're taking," and Demophon ends up siding with them.
Yeah.
A war ensues.
Mhm.
First of all, that messenger was arrogant a la Max. Like, you're clearly in another person's
Yeah.
country.
Yes.
And just to
Oh,
have the
yeah.
audacity to take them, especially if they're at the temple, right? In the ancient Greek culture, if they're in the
Mhm.
temple and they're suppliants, you gotta, like, listen to them, keep them alive, not, like, let all this,
Was
you know
was
what
it,
I mean?
Was it Argos as well? Like-
Argos, yeah.
Argos,
Eurystheus
yeah.
was the king of Argos.
I don't know. I feel like Euripides. That's like Argos a lot.
Well, like, and again, they're Athenian playwriters too, so they gotta prop up Athens,
Prop up
right?
Athens,
So they're
yeah,
propping
no.
up Theseus. They're propping up Theseus'
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
They're propping up the city. The city's always winning.
Don't worry, we'll get into that in the next story. The next story is big on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. Like, is there like a reason why? Like, I feel like Euripides doesn't really like Argos that much or something.
Well, this is one instance where Argos is like shot on. Was there another?
Right. I guess so. Or wait, no. Never mind. I thought Argos was in the next play as well.
No,
but
it's
it was
Thebes.
It was Thebes.
Thebes, yeah.
I don't know. What did I think about it? I thought it was right.
I thought it was all right too. I guess the greater meaning is, innocent. Don't mess with innocent kids.
Kids, yeah.
Don't mess with innocent people. Don't be a tyrant.
I mean, it has a lot of connotations similar to what do you call it? A good comparison today would be the refugees. Like, should you bring them in? Should you not? And especially with before they came in, before the war started, I believe was it the messenger or said that to win this war you have to sacrifice a woman. You have to sacrifice.
Oh
one
no, that was the oracles.
The oracles, yes. Okay, so it's the oracles who said you have to sacrifice. I believe it was a woman or just one person.
A daughter from one of your king,
Yeah.
from your city, from Athens.
Exactly.
It has
yeah.
to be like a nobleman's daughter, I think.
Yes, and the king refuses. He says none of my people will be sacrificed, and then it was the
Like it's the moral thing to do
Suppliants
to
who-
protect you
Yeah.
guys. It's the moral thing. It's the morally right thing to do to protect you guys.
Mhm.
But to then unnecessarily have an innocent woman killed over it, right? Not even like a battle, just like for a sacrifice to like guarantee a victory, right?
Obviously, it was a sacrifice because she came up and asked, but in return, he was able to
It was,
bring in the
um,
suppliants. It was Macaria.
Macaria, yeah.
Macaria was one of the suppliants, and she came in and said, "Listen, if you're gonna please take my sisters, I will sacrifice myself."
My brothers.
Brother. Oh, my bad. Yeah, my brothers. So I thought that was pretty good. Pretty interesting, sacrificing herself so the others could.
Again, like in this sexist
Exactly.
society, the ideals of a good woman is to sacrifice herself for her brothers, for her husband, or her dad, right? So that's to them the ideals of a good woman. Iolaus
Yeah, he was
ended up being a badass
Yeah,
at
he
the
came-
end.
He came in with his youthful energy.
I want to talk about that a bit later, but
I guess that's also a lot of the tropes of like the old timer that towards the end of the movie has like a triumphant
The
moment,
triumphant
like
moment,
like kicks the ass of like the younger guys,
but like,
right?
I find it interesting because he prayed to the goddess of youth to be in his youth so he could like kill him.
Yeah.
But like I find it funny because canonically the goddess of youth is married to Heracles, like when he became god, when he ascended to godhood.
Oh.
So like
I didn't know
yes, like he was betrothed to Hebe.
Mhm.
So in a sense you could say Heracles or Heracles' second wife helped out the kids. Like that's I found like very interesting. And like
And they're not her kids, right? They're
Yeah.
they're Alcmena's kids.
no, Alcmena's Heracles'
Alcmena's.
mothers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like they're just
Yes,
like they're
yes,
just like
yes,
kids. I don't think they're from a specific woman. They could be from 20 different women or something.
Yeah, because you had a lot of
He fucked. Like
I couldn't think of any deeper themes really.
I just find
The
this-
refugee
The
thing.
refugee is a big one.
But
because
that's the
it's
same
like
thing
a-
with the, and
it's
that's
a
also the
comparison.
same thing with the suppliant
The
maidens.
supplement
too.
maidens, yes. Where should you bring them in? Because obviously it is the right thing to do. Bring in people who are being chased out
No,
of their
but
home.
is it
But
the right thing
it could
to do?
also be
Because-
dangerous.
Yes,
because
exactly.
we don't know like who you're bringing in. You could bring in like a spy or like an actual.
Or even if they didn't do anything wrong, you might be bringing a war that could kill so many of the
so
citizens.
many of the citizens. Yes, exactly.
Was it in this one or the other play where Theseus, oh no, never mind. I guess I answered my question.
Thesians would be in the next one.
Suppliants, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Which is like you could say it's like the sequel to After Oedipus at Colonus.
At Columns, yeah.
I'm just wondering if this is like a plot hole or something. Why didn't the kids just go to Hylas' territory? Because they are related.
Just go to whose territory?
Hylas. Like,
Oh,
was it like a plot hole or something?
I
Because he is Heracles' son. And those are technically his brothers.
But where is he ruler of?
I don't remember. Like, maybe he was just like of a certain area. Because, like, he could have just.
Probably not in Mycenae, because then they would have gone there if it was in Mycenae. Because Argos is in Mycenae, it's closer, right? But
Oh, wait, by the way, Eurystheus was the guy who kept giving Heracles all his labors, right?
I think so.
Oh wait a minute. Yeah, because I forgot about this. At the end, wasn't he the one who said, "Oh,
He pretty much admitted that he was just jealous that Heracles' sons would overthrow him. Right? He doesn't give like a concrete good reason For what? For chasing them and trying to kill them and capturing them and all that.
But at the end, after they win, don't many of the soldiers, they say to Eurystheus, like, oh, what should we do with him? And he's like, oh, just kill me. Just kill me and I'll protect over
no,
the land.
because Alcmena wanted him dead.
Yeah,
But a lot of the, I think Iolaus
yeah,
and they were like advising
They're-
against
they're
it.
yeah, that's why.
Because
Well,
they're like,
they're
oh,
deciding what
it's,
to do with
it's
him.
not morally correct now. Now he's technically an innocent, defenseless person. You could
yeah.
get the wrath of the gods involved. It makes sense to kill him in battle,
Mhm.
but now that sort of time has gone past.
Yeah,
And then Eurystheus, because I think Eurystheus just sort of obviously noticed that, you know, Heracles' mother might convince them to kill him.
yeah.
So they're just like, just do it.
Just
Make
do
it quick.
yeah.
Like, I find it funny how, like, the guy who, like, really tried to fuck over Heracles, like, whole time, like, the moment he died, he's just, like, trying to, like, end the bloodline by that point.
Mhm.
Because they're actually technically cousins, I think.
Eurystheus is like Alcmena's brother. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wait, no, they were still brother at some point, I think.
No, Eurystheus and Alcmena are related. They're
Well, I
siblings.
know they're related. I just don't know if they're brothers. Cause I think
No. Eurystheus isn't a brother to Heracles. He's a brother to Alcmena.
Oh, okay. Very
So his uncle, I guess. Heracles' uncle.
Anyways, I want to talk a bit about Iolaus because like he was like very loyal throughout the whole play.
Yeah. Like again, good values, right? Like again, this is the origin of like modern stories. So you got like these like these grand values that people have. Like you could say they're not realistic in a sense, but he's like the overtly loyal friend who will protect what he considers to be his unofficial nephews and niece, right? And does it to the end. Yeah, I thought he would die, and the fact that he didn't, I was happy.
Yeah.
I
And then
was very happy about that.
was it Coprius? Wasn't he against bringing in the suppliant or
The chorus, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, the chorus,
No.
they were just like listening. Nobody was strictly against it other than Eurystheus' messenger. Because Demophon ends up being convinced. The chorus wants to hear Iolaus. And also throughout the play, they're like, oh, Iolaus, the suppliants, you know, I feel bad for them after hearing their story. So, other than Eurystheus and the messenger, there weren't any people that were talking down, that didn't want them to stay in Athens.
Okay.
Oh, because at least I found like Heraclidae is very similar to Suppliant maidens and the Suppliants as well. You know, they're all pretty similar. I think.
It's these fundamentally like these, because it's a good story, right? Because it's like a moral dilemma.
Yeah.
Protect your own people, so refuse these refugees, or possibly take in innocent people,
Yeah.
like cause a war that could completely destroy your kingdom, and for what?
But like,
Yeah.
it's very interesting because like, and then like it always portrays that like it is a good thing to. It's pretty much it always like portrays it's always a good thing to like have to take in the refugees, but like it does paint like the consequences of that like in a more interesting light. Like, hey, what if like people just invade you because of that, you know? And,
What are you
like,
gonna do? Like in that case, like you might need to get the blessing of the gods. That's definitely gonna mean that can mean sacrificing a person, which ends up happening. And even though it's like a prototypical good ending, Euripides might also want people to critically think and be like, even though he did lead us to a good ending, it's a woman still died.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just wondering, what do like they think a woman's value is equal to her brothers is? Like, is the real question. Because like honestly back then I don't think they particularly thought women were that highly valued, you know.
I mean, even educated people like Plato and Aristotle, Aristotle thought women were below men. I think Plato, they thought they should be equal. But I don't know to what extent the misogyny or the patriarchy existed then, or I don't know.
Well, the real question is how conscious of it were they?
Okay.
Because sure, just like it's very obvious back then because they couldn't vote.
Nothing.
You just wanted to see the gap.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they obviously couldn't vote. Like, could they even have property back then? Like,
We don't know. These are all good questions. Definitely, yeah, with some a little bit of research, not a lot, but a little bit like what were gender roles back then. But
like,
it seems like it's towards
'cause,
a
like-
misogynist like system.
because like, I don't really think we're supposed to care that much about the girl because she barely had any lines.
Yeah.
Like, because the difference between her and Alcestis had like a whole fucking monologue, and the play was about her. The play was her name.
Yeah. Whereas this, she barely came in, and it was only to say that she wanted to sacrifice. Yeah, I see what you mean.
And then we have the Suppliants, which is actually kind of almost the same play. It's very similar to her.
Well,
It's similar, but it has different themes, which are like overarching themes. I find.
Because like here, it's like the last one. It's hey, are you gonna stop?
To be honest, I was still a little confused by what was happening in the Suppliants.
Okay.
So basically, it was just a debate over the bodies of
Okay. Okay, you remember Seven Against You? The whole play was talking about
Yes.
7 people.
Yes.
Cool. Those guys died, and now this is about retrieving their bodies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Which is also related to Antigone.
Antigone, yes. Yeah, and that was the big theme in this one, the burial, where it's like, should they be granted burial? Should they not? And because of that, the idea of being buried is, it
Sacred.
means you get to go to the other side, meet your family members, and not. This whole thing led to a war. That's how important burial was back then, and we got to see a bit of that in this.
I think like these.
But also, why was Theseus refusing to give?
To what?
Oh, sorry. Why?
Yeah, because Theseus, early on, he refused. He didn't want to go retrieve the body.
Yes,
I
like
believe.
why?
And then it was his mother who advised him that he
to
should.
do it. Yeah.
And that's when he said, "Okay, well, I'll listen to you."
Because she was
So-
listening to the Argive
to the
mothers.
Ares mothers. Yeah.
There's a very interesting thing because actually this is like this play directly talks about the fact that Athens is a democracy and Argos is a dictatorship.
Yes, it's a tyranny.
Like
Yes.
because Theseus was very troubled. Like, hey, is it even worth it? But like the fact that the people gave him the blessing, it's like this is not just like one person thinks it's a good idea. This is like people as a whole saying
As a whole.
we have to do this. Like this isn't only talking about Theseus as a character. This Euripides is making a direct statement about Athens, and sure it's saying it back then, but it's probably supposed to be a reflection of their society at that point.
Well, this is also like a way to show how great Athens is, where we don't rely on one single dictator. Basically, we rely on our entire population, and everyone gets to agree. We get to discuss.
But also like the different viewpoints, right? Because these
Yes.
guys attacked Thebes. Like technically, they were in the wrong for just attacking Thebes, just for putting, just for wanting to put what's his face? There's Eteocles, and then there's Polynices. Just don't want to put Polynices on the Theban throne.
Well, like, here's the thing: they don't really frame the attack as a good, but they do display that even though these guys didn't do great things, they still deserve dignity and death at least. Like I think that is kind of I feel like that is like generally what I think about. Like, does a bad person deserve to have dignity and death? And like I think this place like saying like even though they're not great people, they did mean something to people.
To the mothers, obviously.
They meant something to the mothers,
which
and like
yeah.
and even the children at the end, right? Like
Yeah.
they meant something to them as well.
And the one wife at the end,
Yeah,
who
Yeah.
sacrificed herself for her husband, or not sacrificed, but she
committed
jumped
suicide.
in.
Committed suicide, basically.
Jumped into the pyre with her husband to be with her,
To be with
him
him.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like they did mean something to them, and like it's like even though like they're already dead, it is worth it to fight for their dignity at least. Like
Yeah, that's the message that this play is making. Because even though they did bad actions, they're not bad to everyone. But obviously, they're gonna be good to their children, and obviously the mothers are gonna want their bodies.
Yeah.
Like you could be like a murderous genocidal maniac, and your mom could still like you because they raised you and had that connection.
Yeah, but it's
with you.
also interesting because Theseus at the end, when he brought the bodies, when he was retrieving the bodies, he didn't want to show it to the mothers because they were dead. He didn't want to show the mothers, oh, look at your dead sons.
Well-
Yeah, so he tried to hide them a bit.
Even though like I do think it's a bit
Comfort.
patronizing, I don't think it was done with bad intentions. Like it was more like, do you really want like what a parent want to see their son's mutilated body, you know? And I'm like, most people would probably say no, like, you know.
Yeah.
So like even though it's a bit patronizing, like I understand the decision, you know. But like it's an interesting conversation. Like, how is it like is there an action so bad that you don't even deserve dignity in death? You know.
Yeah, I mean, does Hitler deserve dignity in death? Probably not. So therefore, no. And also, obviously the mothers and the children are gonna like them because they have like an emotional connection with them. They're not looking at it like rationally, or were their dads or sons actually good people? Now, I understand that Euripides is taking this stance, like, oh, they are worth it, but I disagree.
Well, it could be more the point that everyone's worth it. No matter who you are, everyone deserves to be buried and sent to the afterlife.
Yeah, and that's something I disagree. But yeah, I do agree with Paul. They are clearly making that.
Like there's like I think it's very clear, you know. Like,
Yeah, that was one big theme, the burial. The other one was democracy, right? Democracy versus
Tyranny.
tyranny. And the heralds came in and then started criticizing Theseus for
having a democracy.
having a democracy in his city.
What did he say again?
he
Like,
called
the heralds
it
argument?
like Bob Rule, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
Rule, yes, yeah.
Which again, like, you could also make that argument as like a fair criticism of democracy, especially looking at now, like when the American people have voted for Trump.
Sure. Yeah.
Like a significant portion of them. It's like, people, you could say that democracy isn't good because most people are just uneducated and stupid and they don't want to do like the research in order to pick a good political candidate. You know
Well, like
what I mean?
I don't know, like because like this was like also at the same time that Plato was there, right? So like that could also be like a direct confrontation to Plato's ideas, because like he also had like very similar criticisms to democracies, like
and to family structures as well. He didn't believe in them. He wanted it to be like a lot of people say that he's like a proto-fascist because he believed like the state should replace the family structure. But
I have not read. I will read Plato, but I can't attest to that.
Yeah.
But like, it's very interesting because like there are very obvious contrasting views here, and like I find it interesting how Euripides gave light to even like
To both of them, yeah.
But I'm seeing like a trend in like a Greek plays, like giving dignity in death, because like I'm pretty sure like was there like another. I feel like there was another play that was dignity in death.
Antigone.
Yeah, Antigone, and you know what? The Iliad as well.
With
like remember
Hector,
they
who was considered the enemy.
they were fighting for bodies. When Patroclus died, they were fighting for his body, like its own mini war there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't that serious, but even Ajax, when he died, whether they should bury
him or not.
And then
Yes.
Agamemnon and Menelaus were like, no, they shouldn't, and Odysseus came in and said they should.
Because like these are because all in most of those instances, it's people who have done extremely horrible things. Ajax wanted to kill everyone in his camp. Polynices literally tried to take over Thebes.
And kill his brother.
And Iliad, they were at war with each other. Like,
But it also goes to show in Homer's case, like the level of like empathy that he wanted to show to people that you could have for your enemy. That at the end of the day, we're the same, right? Especially in the Iliad, how they were going back and forth between the Achaean and the Trojan camps. It was mostly focused on the Achaeans, but they were also going into like the Trojan camps and what the Trojan strategists were telling to Hector and stuff like that.
well, I think like another reason like perhaps these ideas are framed this way is because like the death that was that person or a leader could possibly do was way less than it is now. So like maybe their views would change if they found out there was a Hitler who did something, or maybe someone has like a bomb.
That's true. That's true.
Like again,
or an
they-
Oppenheimer.
like again, like we always like their views are limited to what they think is possible. They didn't really have the same view that like one person could kill like 40 people in 10 minutes. You know, like
Mhm.
like they don't. I don't even think they think Achilles could do that. Much less a random guy here. You know,
A random Austrian.
No, like-
failed painter.
like not even like just a random school shooter. You know, they
Yes,
they
yes.
probably couldn't think like we have to. Or we always have to make sure their ideas are ground. We have to know their ideas are grounded in what they think is possible.
But also keep in mind, like if we're going off murder, for instance, they always have wars. There's always wars, so everyone's killing each other. So it's like, is someone killing more people than another undignified or more dignified? You can't really compare it that way.
Well,
guess
they also have these separations, right? Because they were advising Alcmena not to have Eurystheus killed now, because now it was not in a war context.
Wait, Eurystheus was basically a POW, by the way.
Eurystheus
yeah.
towards the end, yeah.
He's basically a POW, and like that's actually very interesting because like, is it like I feel like that's like a very interesting way of like saying, is it good to kill POWs? And they're like, not really. Like Eurystheus sucked, but like he
According to we need to respect these rules.
Yeah.
Which say that now in this context that he's captured, we can't do that.
yeah, like it's not like the first time there's like any any views or any like rules of engagement once you like captured someone.
yeah.
Like it's like
There was no Geneva Convention.
there was
back
no
then.
Geneva Convention, you know. So like yeah, like that's like the one. Like it's like they're also kind of giving him a bit of dignity even while he's captured, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like
Which I think, yeah, going back to the Iliad, I think what makes it even more anti-war is the fact that Homer portrays the Trojans and the Achaeans as like the same. It almost is like saying like they're not these demons. Why are we killing each other in the first place, especially over a woman? Which some of the characters in the Iliad mentioned that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, this one, even Theseus, I believe it's Theseus or the Herald, they kept saying, like, we don't want to go to war, but if you won't give us bodies, we'll have to.
yeah.
So he's even recognizing
And again, this
they
is
don't want to have war, but sometimes they
This is
will. end up
another
being
thing. This is another theme. Going to war over people that aren't your citizens. That's like it's like outside your responsibility.
Yeah.
We see that a lot, especially in the case of the
so like
refugees.
it's kind of, I guess the play is also making the case you shouldn't just fight for your own dignity or for the people around you, but people who you don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
For like
Or don't identify with,
basically strangers, you know, and like
which could be like a humanist argument. That
I
we're, you
would
know,
say like in fact I would say most politicians wouldn't make that argument here, or at least in the United States or something. Like that's like almost like that idea is, even though it's very old, we don't see that here often. Like we always have like
our in group.
like we always have like the in-groups like, yeah, sure, our primary responsibility is here, and it's just a bonus if we help other people. This is making the argument.
No, the primary should be to also help other people.
It's like it's not just you should help your people. You should actively help other people
Other
if they're in need.
Yeah.
Which goes against like Machiavelli's arguments when it comes to politics, right? To only take care of your own, or I think even goes against Thucydides that we're gonna see as well.
Honestly, like these ideas are framed in, they're kind of the most simplistic way you could, because well, in the modern day, it's not very easy to like make all those like, yeah, sure, we're just gonna go to war for this person or something.
Yes.
But like, obviously, like it's still making the argument that it's okay, you should fight.
And he
for
could still extrapolate that to our modern world.
Yes, you
on
can.
what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've seen that in like. I don't see this very often like nowadays right now.
Compared to the English stories that we saw in high school, this is much more well advanced, I think. Would you guys agree or disagree?
I'm not sure. I just think maybe I don't particularly remember many of them. I just think we're just taking it seriously enough that we're actually willing to think about it for ourselves rather than for a grade that we don't care about.
Yeah,
That's true.
and that's what makes it even more enjoyable.
Because like I don't know, like I feel like you could probably like make a good argument. Like there's like probably a lot of modern day books you can do that for. Like I don't know, we could probably have a good experience with The Outsiders as well if you ever. So because that's a really good book that has like a lot of themes that you can extrapolate as well.
Yeah.
Like of Mice and Men.
Again, a lot of them are good books and have like a lot of in-depth like hidden meanings, but you're not going to enjoy it as much when you're forced to read it by a deadline while answering questions while knowing everything about it. So I think that's why
But,
it's hard
but
to
also,
compare it
I
in
think
high
these
school.
books, because the Great Books Education specifically tackles these universal human themes / problems.
But like, there's something I want to talk about Euripides, and like he has lots of varied perspectives in his plays. You know, like one play would be like, I would say relative pretty pro woman, like is in Medea. Well, Hippolytus like it's kind of the opposite, and then like you have Alcestis, which portrays a woman in a very great light, but in a very limited role. You know, so like these are all like very varied in how they portray. And how they portray their characters. And I do think...
I mean, I would agree with Dylan. Like in Medea, they were kind of displaying Medea to be... But also they were displaying her to be like that feminist, like she was ruthless, right? She wasn't weak. Like we could all agree that Medea wasn't weak.
Yeah.
Like she could get shit done in that sense. Like an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, she was
David
literally
Goggins.
a wizard, right? So she had powers
Yeah.
which helped her. If she was just a...
But also like her mentality, like she's gonna fake being a baby woman, which is what Jason expects, right? Because in his stupid little head, every woman has to be like this and is like this. So
Like again, it's very interesting that he's portraying a woman in lots of varied roles, you know?
Yeah.
And he's portraying many...
But also, let's not forget, in his biography, it says specifically that he doesn't like women, or didn't like sex or anything. Like he was like a gloomy recluse who never laughed. He wore a long beard, lived much alone, and hated society. He had crowds of books and did not like women. Euripides didn't like women.
It's kind of like, you know...
Actually, you know, they do portray Medea to be a bit like a B word.
I don't know,
especially when she kills her kids.
Even though she
they
sucked-
also portray in Hippolytus like what's
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite was terrible.
Portrayed as a terrible person.
Yes, but Artemis was not.
man.
But
Goddess of virginity, though.
Phaedra, the one that had the crush on Hippolytus, her stepson.
Yeah.
She was portrayed as bad by lying in the note.
Like, the women are very limited. But here's the thing, even though I still can't hate Medea, I still like her. I don't know why. She sucks, but I like her.
Well,
But again, it said did not like women, so did not sexually like women, or just like sexually liked them but hated like thought they were all like this like whores, like you know what I mean?
maybe he was gay.
Yeah, maybe he was gay.
Maybe he was your average ancient Greek guy.
Yeah.
Average I don't know. He sounds like the average ancient Greek guy, you know? Like low-key hated a woman, you know?
Oh, maybe he's Hippolytus. I can mix up his name. I'm
Hippolytus.
sorry, Hippolytus. Yeah.
Cryptocolitis. All right.
Every time I'm just gonna pronounce it differently.
Anything
It's
else
gonna get goofy.
you guys want to add?
This one I enjoyed. I really enjoyed the comparison where what was it? Oh, I guess it was the previous two. The way he portrays like sacrifices in the three. This one was more like at the end, so it was like more of a throwaway, like the wife who jumps into the pyre.
Yeah.
But the last two, where the
They were
first one,
huge.
Alcestis, was the big one, where she's like, she has her whole monologue. I want to protect my husband, my family, so I'm gonna take his place and sacrifice. And then the second one, where it's like, oh, I want to sacrifice myself for my brothers.
It was.
And
It's not as long, but it was hugely influential,
Influential,
right?
yeah.
Because again, the sacrifice gave them favor with the gods, which allowed the Athenians to win the war
win the
against
war,
Argos.
and bring in this
And Eurystheus.
The Eurystheus, yeah.
I guess
I got nothing else to add. You Paul?
No. I guess we'll have a sneak peek at the next three plays.
All right.
We have Trojan Woman. We got Poseidon, Talthybius, Athena, Cassandra, Hecuba, Andromache, chorus of captive Trojan women, Menelaus, and Helen.
Then we got what else?
Ion.
Which includes Ion, Hermes, chorus of Crusa's handmaidens, Crusa herself, Suthus, an old manservant, a servant of Crusa, a Pythian priestess, and Athena. And then the final one,
Helen.
it's gonna be Helen.
We got Helen,
Okay.
portress and old woman, Teucer, messenger, chorus of ladies attendant on Helen, Theonoe. I'm not gonna say that one. Menelaus,
Theoclymenus.
Theoclymenus, the Dioscuri.
Ooh, Menelaus comes back.
Teucer, isn't Teucer?
Yeah, he was in the. Isn't he? I think he is Nestor's son. I think, or I think so. Oh, by the way, I find it funny how Diomedes' father is in the Suppliants. By the way, he's Titius.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, he's at one of the dead bodies.
Oh, interesting.
He fought alongside his half brother Ajax. I knew there was a connection to Ajax.
Who, Teucer?
Yes. And this is the great Ajax.
The
one-
great Ajax.
The great Ajax. Teucer was a nephew of King Priam of Troy and the cousin of Hector in Paris. And he still fought alongside them. It's funny.